Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. And from the looks of things, this will likely be the last weekly comic book roundup for a while due to, well, current events. But anyways, let's get started, shall we? With Giant Size X-Men, Nightcrawler, #1. Obviously, #1. So, we begin in Westchester. We get actually some nice shots of how the mansion is looking, and well, it's a bit overgrown actually. Though to be fair, I honestly thought that it had been destroyed. I didn't realize it had been rebuilt, but well. Anyway, so there is a gate at the mansion, however, and Nightcrawler, Magic, Eye-Boy, Lockheed, and Cypher come through it. Whew. Apparently, there have been some attempted breaches of the gateway. Cypher explains there are hundreds of access failures every day. Humans who try to walk through, but because they're human, they're unable to pass through it. So, yeah. That's the main thing. However, in Krakoa, the mansion gate, Krakoa smelled mutant in the gate's vicinity during each failure. So, what's going on with the remains of the X-Mansion? So, Eye-Boy looks in every various visual spectrum, saying the place looks empty, but it very much isn't. Something spooks Lockheed, causing him to fly off, and well, Nightcrawler goes after him. Briefly sees Thunderbird. And just like that, Thunderbird's gone. They continue on, and Nightcrawler thinks that he sees Rachel back when she was a hound. And Eye-Boy prepares like, yeah, that's her. I see her. So he goes. So they all go after her into appears to be an organic wall, and Cypher starts investigating it, and the wall swallows him up. So the rest of the team goes after Rachel, while Cypher uses his Technarchy arm, his warlock arm, so to speak, to communicate with a big glowing ball with it on the other side of the wall. The X-Men finally catch up with Rachel, and she's sleepwalking. She's dreaming of traveling, migrating to other worlds, hunting, always moving, capturing. And then she turns into a hound before falling apart into a massive giant of large bugs. The same large bugs which are communicating with Cypher. While the rest of the X-Men fight them off. Nightcrawler insists that Magic go grab Cypher, and it turns out that actually he utilizes his Technarchy infection to excuse me, make for an easier means of interaction between the Sidri, and they're bounty hunting insect basically, and everyone else. Turns out that Lady Mastermind, however, got captured and was being held, and her powers were causing the illusions. So they then take her to So they leave, taking her to Krakoa. And it turns out that Cypher made a deal with the Sidri. The Sidri will stay away from the gate, but the rest of the grounds are theirs. And that's where the issue ends. And next up we've got Hellions, #1. So, the issue begins in San Francisco. Some jackasses are trying to basically start up the Hellfire cult, to be exact. Not to be confused with the Hellfire Corporation or with the Hellfire Trading Corporation, but yeah. They're basically a bunch of bigots trying to recreate the mutant, trying to have themselves another mutant massacre. They attack the vehicle that Nightcrawler and Havoc are standing by is blown up by one of them. And they go after Havoc. However, Havoc blasts one of them, or blasts a couple of them, and starts to use his powers on another. When Wolverine and Rockslide restrain him. But it turns out that Havoc wasn't in his right mind when he was doing that. And so, at the Quiet Council chamber, Quiet Council is hearing about some inconveniences amongst the population. Sinister really takes a moment to shine, has his moment to shine here. But the inconvenient mutants being Empath, Wild Child, Nanny and Orphan Maker, Scalp Hunter, and Havoc. Turns out that Empath was controlling some of the Hellions to fight each other. And when some of the X-Men tried to stop him, he had Jetstream stop them instead. Nanny and Orphan Maker is just... Orphan Maker got a little violent while separated from Nanny. Wild Child, turns out Department H was giving him pills to keep his feral nature at bay. They worked pretty well, and so on Krakoa they've been using them as well, but Sage and Cecilia. Yeah, Cecilia Reyes discover that he's been faking. He hasn't been taking his pills. He's actually been he dug a hole and has been burying them and makes for an escape. Excuse me. Then the surviving Morlocks showed up to pick a fight with Scalp Hunter, payback for the Mutant Massacre. This is actually one of those things I was kind of wanting to know, how was this going to be handled after the invitation to all mutants was made. Back in the at the council chamber, however, Cyclops is not happy with the fact that Alex is there, but he's promptly chided, and it's, he probably would have killed the human terrorists if, if of all people, Logan, Wolverine, hadn't stopped him. However, Sinister has an idea. Take these, basically take, as he puts them, these square pegs straining heroically against round holes, and make a team out of them. However, Cyclops wants someone to keep an eye on the team. That someone is Quenon. Turns out they're being sent to the Essex State Home for Foundlings outside of Omaha, Nebraska, the orphanage that Cyclops and Havoc grew up in. Their mission is to destroy the clone farm that Sinister had built underneath it. Mainly because it turns out that the Five make his clone farm redundant. So, but to be fair, he's got to go to the dogs, and it's a complete teardown at this point. And he's got a few notes that it's an abomination against nature, decency, and if God exists, him too. But it turns out that the original Marauders, the clones of them are already there, with the exception of Scalp Hunter. And so the team heads out, but at the Essex State Home for Foundlings, well, someone has seemingly captured all of the Marauders. That someone being none other than Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen. Also, it should be noted, a clone of Jean Grey, created by, you guessed it, Mr. Sinister. And that is where the issue ends. Moving on to Wolverine, number 2. Where we left off, while on the trail of the Flower Cartel, X-Force was attacked by one of their own, Wolverine, who was under the control of the Pale Girl. The leader of the Flower Cartel. Now, of course, X-Force is the only fat group going after the Flower Cartel. The CIA is as well. The CIA headed up by Agent Jeff Bannister. So the issue begins somewhere in the Pacific aboard the Marauder. They're off course, and the petals are being dumped overboard after the cases are frozen by Iceman, and then Pyro melts the ice. But everyone but Bishop is basically being mind controlled. He gets pushed off the boat and dragged under. And we basically find out what it was that Wolverine saw when he attacked attacked X-Force. What he was seeing was him being attacked by Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, and Professor Cornelius. And it wasn't until he basically killed all three of them, it wasn't until he ran through Lady Deathstrike that he realized what he had actually been doing. He comes to on Krakoa, having been healed. And talks about what happened. And turns out there are, similar to happening to others. We get a port of entry report from the Marauder explaining that the ship's log discloses that for 20 minutes the Marauder was adrift 200 miles off the coast of Chile. No one on board could account for the lapse in course, but all report feeling confused, exhausted, and even dizzy. A series of radiant blasts were noticed off the stern, and further investigation revealed that Bishop had gone overboard. By the time of his recovery, nearly 2 miles off the wake of the vessel, he was almost drowned and hypothermic. He has no memory of the events, but a full recovery is expected. Inventory exposes the loss of a dozen crates of petals. Brain scans of each crew member revealed neural patterns indicative of transient ischemic attacks. A silent threat is suspected, likely working on behalf of the Flower Cartel, responsible for the current pollen epidemic. Pollen being the street name for petals. Wolverine has been tasked with calling Bannister. In Baltimore, an operative calls up Bannister and tells him what's going on with a couple of members of the task force. One of whom slit his wrists and then jumped out of a fifth-story window, and the other cooked the skin off her face with an iron. In the hatchery, Logan goes to apologize to the growing gene that's about to be reborn, and as well as Cyclops. I'm actually surprised that Cyclops didn't just, take a moment to blast Wolverine across the hatchery, but, hey. There's also a profit and loss analysis of petal shipments. The short version being that basically the mutants are hopeful that within the next 5 years there will not be a waitlist for Krakoan drugs. In Langley, Bannister and one of his explaining to another operative that they need to at least appear to shut down the investigation into the Flower Cartel. Explaining that they've been made. They've got video surveillance of the Pale Girl, but it needs to be gotten rid of. At home, Bannister's home. Bannister meets up with Logan. The two talk. And the ops work together. However, once again, the Pale Girl, masquerading as one of Bannister's fellow operatives, manages to take control of Wolverine and get him to stab Bannister while turning the boat in a different direction. And that is where the issue ends. Moving on, we've got X-Men number 9. Where we left off, the Brood had come to Earth in search of the brood of the King Egg, which Wolfsbane had taken during the cosmic side of the first New Mutants arc. Brew explained to the X-Men the importance of the King Egg and why it must be taken off world, and so they did just that. At the same time, a Kree vessel was spotted in Shi'ar space, and well, Gladiator and his son, who were on a hunting trip together, went after the ship, which it turns out is also holding the Starjammers, who were supposed to get the King Egg and bring it to the Kree. So So we flash back to the Kree Empire, explaining where the Brood came from. They're actually from a different, basically a different reality. There was a tear in reality they fell through. But their initial studies and how the King Egg was developed by a group of Kree scientists as a means of basically aiming the Brood. And it's decided that the Shi'ar are the ones who will likely be the targets. And apparently this all happened 8,000 years ago. So now the X-Men are flying through space, trying to get to Chandelar, with the Brood hot on their tails. At the space station, Gladiator, his kid, and Oracle show up, and yeah, Gladiator pummels the Accuser board through the Kree ship and into one of the space whales that the Brood use. The X-Men crash down on the planet below, and it's explained. Jean kind of explains the idea of the King Egg and how the rest of the Brood react to it. Imagine living your entire life as a predator, hunting whatever you felt needed to be hunted, consuming whatever you desired to consume. Just consider what it would be like having millions of your species, millions of your race, willing to die just so you could have more than what you already had. Consider the appetite of it, the power of it. Try to imagine what that must feel like. Now imagine something unexpected, unforeseen, that could take all of it away from you. And worse than that, it would turn you into that which you have lorded over for thousands of years. A drone. How badly would you ever overreact to this threat? How badly would you want that threat to die? But we see the X-Men fighting, and the Shi'ar fighting off the Brood. With the Starjammers helping as well. And they're trying to find the King Egg. However, the Brood have been beaten to the King Egg by, well, Brood. Who, ate the King Egg. And that is where the issue ends. Alright. Next up, and last book for the video. X-Men Fantastic Four, number 3. Where we left off, the Fantastic Four had attacked Krakoa, mistakenly thinking that the X-Men had kidnapped Franklin Richards and Valeria Richards, who actually were being held on Doom Island by Dr. Doom, along with as well as the Marauders. Doom was holding the Marauders as well as Franklin and Valeria. And the Fantastic Four, having invaded Krakoa, they barely managed to escape, with the X-Men in hot pursuit. And so the Fantastic Car is destroyed over an island. However, Doom stops the fight on the shore of Doom Island, and basically says, hey, I'm going to help Franklin Richards. Period. End of discussion. Franklin's cool with it, and no one's happy that Kate Pryde made a deal. So yeah. So Beast and Mr. Fantastic go over Doom's notes, and well, but the X-Men are planning to rescue the Latvian mutants as well, somehow. And Beast and Reed have a differing opinion on just what it is, on what Doom plans to do to help Franklin with his powers. Reed thinking it's too risky, whereas Beast thinks, yes, there's a risk involved, but you know, it's not that you know, not that tough. So the X-Men decide to go trying to rescue the Latveria mutants, and are probably attacked by what appear to be Doombots. However, Wolverine cuts up one of them and realizes that it bleeds, which then leads to Doom summoning forth his Von Doom Sentinels. And that's where the issue ends. And that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long, rock hard, and, once again, stay safe, everyone.